think I'm gonna just put this right there. Good morning and welcome, everyone. It's wonderful to see so many of our partners who are esteemed from across the USDA, the HHS, and the larger community for broader nutrition gathered here today, united by a common goal. Now, each of us hails from our different backgrounds, and we all carry our own unique perspective and our own experiences to this table. But we all do believe that this is the most momentous time and pivotal moment for the health of our nation. So, less than 2 months ago, USDA and HHS announced the new Dietary Guidelines for Americans, the kickoff of the largest federal nutrition policy overhaul in decades. And today, there you go. And today, we're here to build upon that momentum, and we're going to continue to forge ahead with efforts that will pay dividends majorly for generations to come. Now, turning the tide on the chronic disease epidemic that we have is a tremendous undertaking and responsibility, but it's also a golden opportunity to build a pathway to a healthier tomorrow. And to share how the Trump administration is delivering on exactly that promise, it is my privilege to introduce a bold and visionary leader for the Make America Healthy Again moment, Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the USDA. For all of my USDA team, let's give a big round of our guests of welcome to our wonderful guests here. We have a couple of big announcements, and then I'm going to turn it over to my partner in all things, Bobby Kennedy, and of course we have the amazing Dr. Ben Carson with us today, our National Nutrition Advisor, and also some amazing friends, including one of our greatest governors, but we'll get to them in just a second. I think it's important that we take a moment to acknowledge our brave warriors who are overseas right now. I know we're here to talk about making America healthy again, but obviously our prayers, our thoughts, and really everything who we are as Americans stand with those incredible brave men and women on the other side of the world, part of Operation Epic Fury, and I know I speak for all of us when we say we're just so grateful for their willingness to fight for freedom and for our country, and ensuring that we continue to pray and watch over them, ask God to watch over them with His grace and protection. So I think it's really important we start with that and realize the gravity of the moment, and today's announcement's a really big deal, but ensuring that we're all one nation under God today. On that note, let's talk about the health of our citizens here at home and how we can continue to leverage the federal government to improve it alongside our incredible partners at the state level. As the 33rd Secretary of Agriculture, and our team here our incredible team here at USDA, we believe in empowering individuals and families to thrive, not just to survive. Under the leadership of our great President Donald Trump, and in partnership with Secretary Kennedy, Dr. Carson, and so many others, our 16 nutrition programs here at USDA are shifting in a massive, disruptive, transformational way to better prioritize healthy children, healthy families, and healthy communities. I think that deserves a big amen. When I was confirmed just over 1 year ago, in fact, Bobby and I were confirmed on the exact same day, just by happenstance. Some may say it was providential, but February 13th of last year, I stood here on this stage after being voted on and then sworn in by Justice Clarence Thomas, and then came to address the incredible USDA. But before I went into my office, before doing that, I walked into my office, and sitting on my desk was a letter that we had discussed, had been prepared, and that we were ready to send to every governor in America, blue, red, no matter what, that this was a new day for our country, that what we had hoped to do at U.S. Department of Agriculture and with partnership across this government was to work with governors, to work with states, to come up with new and innovative ideas, understanding that the federal government, as Ronald Reagan said so aptly, does not have the answers, but instead, under the 10th Amendment of our Constitution, that the people, the governing bodies who are closest to the people, they have the best answers for their own citizens. So that letter went out. I think it was the very first thing I did as the 33rd Secretary of Agriculture to every governor in the country, saying, let's do something different and let's do it better. And to date, including an additional 4 today, we are now up to 22 states who have submitted and been approved for waivers under the SNAP program. Today, we're also here to talk about the new stocking standards. And I think that's a really important piece of this as we work to get better and healthier food to those with the least among us, which is a biblical foundation, which I think is so important. We're also going to talk about the waivers, as I mentioned, the additional waivers we're signing today. And third, today, we're going to talk about how the private sector can better participate and encourage adoption of the new Dietary Guidelines for Americans, which we released, of course, just a few weeks ago. First, let's talk about the stocking standards. To promote the health of SNAP recipients and the integrity of the program, USDA will soon publish a final rule updating how SNAP defines and classifies the food retailers, what they're required to stock in order to redeem the more than $100 billion that the federal taxpayer puts into the SNAP program. In short, the current standards that currently have governed over the last number of years, they only require our retailers, almost 250,000 retailers across the country, to stock the very minimum of healthy foods. Well, that changes under this administration. Today, we are sending out and ensuring that all those retailers know that we have a call to action, that no longer, if you accept SNAP dollars, will jelly count as a fruit, will jerky count as a protein, that starting almost immediately, they have to stock more than double the healthy options that they're currently being required to stock. In fact, 28 varieties across 4 staple food programs are going to now be required, more than double the current requirements. Americans on SNAP deserve more. 28 is just a starting point, even though it is double what we're currently doing. We know that there is much, much more work to do as we work to get healthier foods into these retailers. And we believe that the very least that these retailers can do, as they are taking significant amounts of taxpayer dollars, is to ensure that they are doing just that. And we're going to be visiting and talking a lot more over the coming 3 years on that issue, as we'll be maybe doing a few surprise visits around the country too. I also want to note for my friends in Congress who have been very, very active on this, that this rule will finally deliver on Section 4002 of the bipartisan 2014 Farm Bill. More than a decade later, we will finally get this right. The second thing I want to talk about is, again, so pleased to welcome 4 additional states that pursued and were recently approved to restrict junk foods and sugary items from purchase with SNAP benefits. My big, big thank you to Kansas, by the way, with a Democrat governor, Kansas, Nevada, Ohio, and the wonderful state of Wyoming with the great Governor Mark Gordon here with us today. As I mentioned, this brings the total number of states to 22, with another 8 in the pipeline. More on that in the future. And I so appreciate our incredible F&S team here at USDA who have worked around the clock. Patrick, your team has been incredible. These warriors have been working 7 days a week for almost a year to move these SNAP waivers through, and we're just so grateful. And finally, today, before I turn it over to Secretary Kennedy, I am thrilled to announce the initiation of the Dietary Guidelines for Americans Strategic Partnerships. USDA has long partnered with organizations and companies from across the private sector to promote the DGAs and messaging with the shared goals of helping consumers make better choices. Related to these current DGAs, 25 through 2030, partners will span various sectors, including grocery retailers, health professional association, healthcare corporations, food manufacturers, agricultural producers, and media outlets. Within each, relevant points of contact will include registered dietitians and nutritionists, communication staffs, marketing teams, and much more. Again, it is a new day, a new era for making America healthy again. Americans from all walks of life have already shown their ability to make America healthy again, and now it's time to take these guidelines to the next level. Whether removing artificial dyes, promoting health and wellness, or looking at ways to create more value on our farmers' and ranchers' land through regenerative agriculture, each of these incredible segments of America has something to contribute to the DGA message. Please join us, lots of people watching online, by reaching out to Dietary Guidelines at USDA.gov. This invitation brings a new wave of energy and vision to support real food first. Logistically, USDA will manage the partnership, and the opportunity will be housed at realfood.gov and their website with our partners at HHS. A quick shout out to Joe Gebbia and our incredible national design team who've done such remarkable work on this. I want to close by touching on just a few things currently on our plate. First, at USDA, we are working to get the new DGA materials out to the over 95,000 schools across our country. Let me repeat that, 95,000 schools that participate in USDA's 16 nutrition programs. That is also an imperative for us to get this information out to the more than 250,000 SNAP authorized retailers. So that is ongoing and continues. Number two, we will be issuing updated guidance for retailers and families participating in the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, or the WIC program. States, another great, Governor Gordon, another great opportunity for you to think through your authorized food lists to prioritize options that promote whole, nutrient-dense protein foods, dairy, vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. There's so much good work to do here. Third, we are hard at work developing a proposed school meals rule. I think that this may be, Secretary Kennedy, one of the most important things we do is working with our schools to get real food, nutrient-dense food, back on the plates of all of our kids across this country. This effort will be historic, which is in all things we seem to take on, Bobby and Ben and Callie and others, will be hard. It will require a lot of people at the table. It's going to be a complete transformation of how we serve food in this country to our children. It will not happen overnight, but we are taking the first massive steps to make sure that when we step away in 3 years, that righteous work will continue, and we will save our country and save our people for the future going forward. And finally, I want to ensure and make sure that we note that every day we're also working on the integrity of these nutrition programs. When the government was shut down at the end of last year, it really shined a light on what was happening in America, and specifically across all the programs, but for us, what was happening in the SNAP programs, especially in the blue states where we did not have access to their data. But even in the red states, when we were given access to data, we found 200,000 dead people. Obviously alive people who were using dead people's social security numbers, but 200,000 dead people who were receiving SNAP benefits. We found 500,000 people who were receiving the benefit more than once. We have since taken a massive criminal investigation and operation underway. We've arrested almost 125 people in the last year, but the integrity of this program remains paramount so that we can make sure that we are really helping those in need while protecting our taxpayers. Under President Trump's leadership, we are restoring common sense, we're restoring scientific integrity, we are restoring accountability to the federal food and health policy. America's future depends on what we grow, what we serve, and what we choose to eat. And here at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Abraham Lincoln's department, we couldn't be more excited to put our farmers and our ranchers and agriculture back where it belongs. And that's at the center of all of these conversations and this policy. There has been no better partner in this effort than our Secretary of Health and Human Services, a real warrior in his own right, the game changer that this country needed at this moment, whom President Trump has put all of his trust in. Please help me welcome to USDA the incredible Bobby Kennedy.
Thank you, Brooke. And thank you all for being here. And I just wanted to say it's probably the best part of having this job is getting to work with Brooke. We talk almost every day, and in my view, she's the best agricultural secretary we've ever had in this country. She's completely focused on getting good, healthy food, increasing the health, ending the chronic disease epidemic in our kids, and at the same time benefiting America's farmers and ranchers and producers. When we came into office the same day last February, about 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks and a year ago, we have to co-sign the Dietary Guidelines, and we were given the new Dietary Guidelines that had been worked on for about 4 years by the Biden administration. They were 453 pages long. It was mainly indecipherable and incomprehensible and unusable. And it was written by lobbyists, as had been the Dietary Guidelines for the past 50 years. And it reflected the mercantile impulses that had put Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid, which isn't even a food. It's just poison. And for 50 years, the government had been lying to us. They've been lying about saturated fats, about sugars, about refined carbohydrates, about ultra-processed foods. And particularly, they were focused on eliminating protein and citing a bunch of science that was so badly flawed. It said that protein was associated with greater heart attacks, which there's no legitimate scientific study that's ever shown that. And we now know it was all fraudulent, and it was dogma, and it was put in place to benefit the ultra-processed food industry and take power, incidentally, away from farmers, because the ultra-processed food industry is dependent on a tiny, tiny fraction of commodity crops. Very little of that money goes to farmers, and you concentrate the power and you concentrate the economic benefit and you take it away from farmers. And so everybody that really is important to this country was being hurt by them. And it was just wrong. And so we brought together the best nutritionists in America. We said, we're going to do real science-based dietary guidelines. And I want to thank Callie Means for his leadership in assembling this extraordinary retinue of world-class nutritionists, including Mark Hyman, but from the best universities in our country. And we thought it would take about a month. We kept telling people, yeah, it's just about a month away. It took 11 months. There's every word in those dietary guidelines, every recommendation, there was bloodshed over it because people were fighting. It was regulatory malpractice that we did not have the clear scientific answers to a lot of the questions we needed. There were big science gaps, which there shouldn't have been. We are now working overtime at NIH and FDA to fill those gaps so that we'll have better and better answers every year. But the new guidelines came out, but Brooke did not want to let it rest on her laurels. And she asked the question, now, how do we drive this? into the American appetite structure and change the food culture in this country radically. And she recognized that she had this extraordinary power at her disposal, which was the food supplement program, the subsidy program, which she spends about $100 billion a year, $405 million a day on SNAP, on WIC, on Head Start, on the Indian Health Service, and on school lunches and all these other programs, and that we could use those as a device to drive these vast, monumental changes in our dietary culture in this country. And she immediately wrote letters to all the governors saying, we want you to file for SNAP waivers. I want to thank Governor Mark Gordon of Wyoming, who's the 22nd now to do that. And hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have all 50. This is not a Republican issue. There's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children. These are our kids, and this is our primary responsibility. And it seems just common sense that they should eat good food. Brooke, from the beginning, was very, very focused on how do you make these foods affordable? Because the consensus was, well, ultra-processed foods and soda drinks are cheap. And that's a lot of what the Democrats were saying. Oh, you're taking food away from poor people. But the president and Brooke and everybody in the administration is laser focused on making sure that these foods are accessible and that they're affordable by every American. I just want to tell you a quick anecdote because our colleague Pete Hegseth is also taking those dietary guidelines and driving them into military meals, thank God. And we're doing it at the VA. Pete Hegseth hired a dietitian, a television chef named Robert Irvine. And I spent the day with him the other day. And Robert Irvine is changing the meals on all the military bases in this country to make them real food, fresh food, locally sourced, whole food. And he's now already in 5 bases. By the end of this month, he'll be in 20. The experience on these bases has been extraordinary. Before he came in, a third of the soldiers were eating at the cafeteria because the food was so appalling. It was unspeakable, and it was poisoning them. And they were going instead of spending their meager paychecks on fast food and the local fast food joints. And fast food is not cheap, by the way. A Big Mac meal costs $12 to $14. You can get really good food for that. And now that he's changed it, there's lines around the block for our soldiers to get in there and get these great meals. And they've stopped eating the local fast food. And the military has allocated $18.50 per soldier per day for 3 meals. He's now feeding them all the highest quality food that you can get for $10 a day. And what Robert Irvine said is, you don't need more money to eat good food. You just need to buy smarter and to be smarter about it. He pointed out to me that a frozen salmon fillet costs $9 and a fresh salmon fillet costs $6. And when you buy it, smart, every American can feed themselves cheaper than fast food. One of the challenges that we're facing and that we're working on all kinds of innovative devices to solve is that Americans have forgotten how to cook. Well, the convenience of fast food is one of the things that attracts them. And many of them don't have the cutlery. They don't have the pots and pans. They don't have the cutting boards. And they don't know how to shop. And one of the things that we're talking about now at HHS is to use the Commission Corps or other groups within our agency to go out and actually teach people to cook. And, President Trump has talked about the spiritual malaise in our country. That spiritual malaise comes from the breakdown of families. It comes from the fragmentation, the atomization, the isolation, particularly in our children, that they don't feel connections anymore. They spend 5.5 hours a day on social media, and they're not talking to human beings anymore. And one of the things, cooking is, and eating together as a family is a sacred ritual. And it's something that brings families together for an hour or 2 hours a day, where they talk, where they interact, where they work together on an act of creation. And then they eat together in this wonderful ritual that brings families together and reconnects them to each other. And we're working with the states also to get bell-to-bell legislation in all the states, to get kids off their cell phone in schools. And the parents tell us that it has this miraculous impact that kids don't use the cell phones when they drive, and they come home and they eat dinner and they talk to each other. I've gone into these school cafeterias with 600 kids in them where they're all talking to each other. They're not looking at their laps at their cell phones. And part of what we're trying to do is to understand that this is a spiritual warfare that we're fighting. And that the way to end it, that the other side on this wants to isolate us, wants to keep us apart, because then we're vulnerable. And we need to figure out ways to bring us all back together. And food is the way to do that. It is opening the door to bring all Americans back together, to give them good food to eat, and reteach them that ritual of cooking. So the food is affordable. It's cheaper to cook at home than it is to buy fast food. And Brooke is, as I said, constantly devising new ways of making sure that everybody in this country has access to these meals. These new stocking standards are going to go a long way to do that. There's 250,000 retailers who take food stamps in this country, 250,000. And this new stocking standard is going to require them all to have a minimal amount on their shelves of good food, of real food. Most of them are going to have to double. The bodegas and the gas stations, the people who take fast food or take food stamps are now going to have to double the amount of real food that they have in their stores. And that's going to change everything. And so I want to thank Brooke. I want to thank Mark Gordon. I want to thank Ben Carson for his leadership. He's the leader of this initiative within USDA. And Pat there, thank you. And Isaac Ballard. Well, thank you very much. And I want to now introduce the man who, is it Ben first? Ben who's leading this initiative. Come on up.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful to see so many people interested in this topic, because it's something that's vital to all of us. And for the last 6 to 8 months, it's been an extreme pleasure working with Brooke Rollins, who I worked with in the previous Trump administration, so already knew how incredibly competent she is. But people say that the president never sleeps. I think Brooke is in that same category. And, Bobby is just a wonderful individual. People ask me all the time, but he's a Democrat. What a bunch of crap. The fact of the matter is, I told him when I was growing up as a teenager, his dad was my favorite politician. That was back in the days when Democrats were reasonable people. But the two of them together is quite a force. And, over the years, a lot of other people have talked about these kinds of initiatives, health initiatives revolving around our food, but we've never had this kind of cooperation between the Department of Agriculture, HHS, CMS, FDA, all working together on this particular problem. And it's making a difference because we're working based on the facts and not on people's ideology. And health, as was mentioned, it's not a political issue. I mean, it's something that we can all gather around. And one of the real problems today is people want to make everything into a political issue. You know, this is America. We got where we were because of the sense of community that existed. You know, if somebody broke their leg during harvest season, the others didn't say, well, what's your political affiliation? No, they harvested his crops for him because that was their neighbor. Something we got to get back to. And, you know, health is also a national security issue because we have a large number of people applying to the military who are not accepted because of health issues, physical and mental health issues. And it's something that really needs to be addressed. It's so critically important right now. But when we look around us, obesity, diabetes, ADHD, think about all of these things that are going on, a tremendous increase in autism. Both physical, mental, emotional issues are significant. And many studies have shown the relationship with our diet. And we have wonderful farmers, wonderful farms, but they'll tell you it starts with the nutrients in the ground. They understand that, but we are now concentrating on getting that nutritious food from the farm into the hands and into the mouths of our people while they are still nutrient rich. They lose nutrients as time goes on. And also we've suffered for a long time from misinformation, that, you know, all saturated fats were horrible things. But a couple of months ago, Secretary Rollins and myself were at a school in Pennsylvania, and we were serving the kids lunch, and so many of them wanted broccoli. You can't imagine. But the thing that really was surprising is we, through the Dairy Association, provided each child with whole milk. Some of them had never had whole milk before. And they were so enthusiastic. They said, this is the best milk I've ever had. They've been deprived from these things that give you strong bones, strong teeth, strong membranes, for neural transmission, all kinds of wonderful things that are happening. But it's so important that we begin to teach these issues to our children. While they're young, it becomes habitual. And I think it will make a big difference for us as a whole society very soon. And last thing I want to say here, I am a surgeon, so I am laconic. You won't hear me going on and on for quite some time. But I want to get this point across. We can make all kind of rules and regulations and recommendations, but it's the people who are on the front line, the retailers, the people who actually are in contact with the consumers who can make a big difference. It's very important that they educate themselves about real food, what it is. These things that we're making available in the stocking, they're actually very good things, and we've examined them and we've made sure that they are truly nutritious and good food. But all of us have to be involved, because together we can make America healthy again. Thank you.
This is so cool at a government event, seeing pictures of carrots, pictures of apples, pictures of steak, salmon, whole grains. Can I just hear from the crowd, how do we feel about real food being at the top of the pyramid? What I think is an important message about the food pyramid and the topics being discussed today and the policies being rolled out is the food pyramid is a nutrition guidance document, but it is also the most important public health document in American history, in modern American history at least. Secretary Kennedy oversees Health and Human Services, and that department has the largest budget of any government department of any society in human history. We're spending, as we know, trillions and trillions of dollars on healthcare. We added it up, when you add in Social Security and other areas that goes to healthcare, it's 40% of every tax dollar goes to healthcare. And 90% of that is going to chronic conditions. And the Trump administration has marshaled this movement, and I think the beating heart of that movement is an anxiety a lot of Americans are feeling of these skyrocketing chronic disease rates among kids. And the Maha Master strategy is very simple. Why are companies getting so rich from this sickness, and why have decades of bad policies in the government made life hard for farmers who are the solution to this issue? Chronic disease, diabetes, heart disease, obesity. It's simple. If we're eating more carrots and encouraging that from the government, incentivizing that from the government, more broccoli, more steak, more salmon, that can reverse these chronic disease rates. And we have a unique situation in America. 38% of teens, according to recent USDA data, pre-diabetic. That number is close to 0% in Japan. We can, and this is the message from the Trump administration, we can turn this around, but better health goes through the fork, not the prescription pad. What's being highlighted here today are two specific ways the Trump administration is attacking this issue through the whole of government. One is that there's a real focus on where government is putting money. If government is going to spend $120 billion on SNAP, we owe it to those Americans to make sure that money is going to incentivize real food and not junk food. And can we just get a round of applause for the governors? This 2 years ago, nobody thought this was possible, but the media should be covering this more. The historic collaboration with brave governors and Secretary Rollins at the USDA to approve these waivers. We are changing markets, and this is providing a very tangible benefit and improvement to food access and affordability for Americans, and it's really historic what's happening there. We're also, and it was represented today, we're also asking common sense questions. If retailers are dependent on SNAP money, can we nudge them to serve more healthy foods, particularly in areas that are food insecure, food deserts as they call them? Can we encourage them, because they're relying on federal dollars, can we encourage them to serve healthier food? We're asking common sense questions of hospitals. Can we work with hospitals who are dependent on government dollars to not serve mostly ultra-processed food? You look at hospital meals, it makes no sense. Diabetics are being served Coke, literally. We just received a report of that. Can we encourage hospitals to think more about the food they're serving? Can we go into the military and schools and just ask, with the budget that we have, can we empower farmers more and create markets for farmers with the tens of billions of dollars that we're spending for our soldiers and our children? This is a win-win situation. And I can tell you, the Trump administration has marshaled this for the first time. We're caring and asking these questions, and historic achievements are going to be made, and they are being made. The second thing we're doing, and I think this is the most important, is we are going all out in public communication and education. People, the media dismisses the food pyramid. They say people don't listen to government guidance. I don't know if that's true. Growing up in the 90s, my parents thought they were doing the right thing, not serving the meat, serving all the processed carbs. My parents thought they were doing the right thing. I think people listen to government guidance. I think government leadership matters. And the fact that for the first time there's a stake in the ground for real food, and we're talking about that, I think does matter. I think the fact that Secretary Kennedy tomorrow is going to be marshaling the AMA and medical groups and medical deans who quite frankly are disagreeing with the administration. We disagree with them on other issues, that we can come together on the common goal of spurring better nutrition education in medical schools. That's positive. The fact that Secretary Rollins is working with HHS and throughout government to have better nutrition and cooking education for children, these are historic changes. And I want to say just one thing in closing. There's something historic happening, and the Trump administration is marshaling the government to think about complex challenges for the first time. And this is a complex issue. We're talking about the agriculture system. We're talking about the healthcare system. There's many stakeholders involved. There have been historic accomplishments made in the next year, but we are consciously opening up a long-term, generational conversation about how to reset priorities in this country, reset our health priorities. And this government is working in lockstep, talking every single day, working to make this happen. The Democrats and the media are frankly nowhere to be found. We'd love to have them, but they're just throwing pot shots. This administration is working to solve big issues. We are winning, and we are going to continue working every day on this. And can we just close by getting a round of applause for, I think, the two people who, after these headlines every day, these snarky headlines fade away, history will remember them as foundational leaders in American public health who helped reset our food system, Brooke Rollins and Bobby Kennedy. Can we get a round of applause for them? It's now an honor to introduce the governor of the great state of Wyoming, Governor Gordon.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. Secretary Rollins, Secretary Kennedy, thank you so much for the honor of being here today. Ben, it's great to see you as well. I'm amazed to sit here and look at these wonderful flags of every state in the nation. I want to call your attention to the state of Wyoming's flag, which is right up there. It's the Wyoming buffalo. Now, I don't say that just because of a sense of patriotism for my state. I say that because the buffalo is the only animal that stands into the wind. Cattle will turn their back, horses will turn, buffaloes stand into the wind. So I want to compliment our two secretaries for standing face forward in a lot of wind. And as a rancher myself, with two girls who know how to milk cows and know how to drink milk, by the way, it is truly an honor to have Todd Fornstrom of our Wyoming Farm Bureau here. And it is, I think, a tribute to how this administration has gone about a very difficult task, the one you've heard about today. And that task doesn't come quickly. It doesn't come easily. And thank God the Trump administration realizes it doesn't necessarily come from Washington, D.C. It comes from the people. It comes from the retailers, from the parents and others. And I want to thank you, Secretary Rollins, for giving us the opportunity. Director Schmidt is here from our Department of Family Services, and we did stakeholder meetings and surveys all around our state. And we found out a couple of things, not remarkable, but if there's one thing you want to remember from today, people want to know they're eating real food and they want to know where it comes from. That's what this administration is doing. So to be here today, to have the opportunity to have our waiver signed, to be a leader in this nation, and to get us back on track with eating real stuff that makes you real healthy, all I got to say is God bless America, that we are the country that we are, that we can do this. Thank you.
We're going to now sign, thank you, Governor. We're going to now sign the additional waivers. I will say that of all the lovely things that were said about me today, the one not on my bingo card I'm most excited about is being called a buffalo. But I'm here for it, and I kind of love it. So thank you, Governor. We're going to now sign the waivers. And again, just want to thank everyone for being here. Another monumental, historic day, and certainly standing on the shoulders of so many. So thank you all. We'll sign the waivers now. How about the wonderful sound guy who just in about an instant fixed the microphone for me? Thank you, sir. He was ready. The first one we're going to do, of course, is Wyoming. Governor Gordon, we just couldn't be more grateful. So I'm going to sign this, and then we're going to take a picture. Let's go, Wyoming. Okay, thank you. Next up, the great state of Kansas. Governor Kelly could not be here today, but very grateful to her. We've had several blue governors who've come through, Democrats, who've been very willing to work with our administration. So a big thank you to Governor Laura Kelly of Kansas as we work to make Kansas healthier too. How about Kansas, everybody? Next up, we have the great state of Ohio. Governor Mike DeWine, who's been a wonderful partner. Ohio, everybody. And last but not least, the great state of Nevada and Governor Joe Lombardo. All right, that concludes our program for today. We're going to go do a little press conference in a different room, but again, we're just so grateful to all, and thank you all for being here today. God bless you. God bless America. Thank y'all.